Hello, and welcome to my Coinless journey. This video consists of my three-part series of completing the base game, Dark Side, and Darker Side without touching a coin, or at least attempting to not touch a coin. This video is my complete journey and might teach you something if you stick around. A different Mario Odyssey content creator did beat me to my All Moons challenge Coinless, and his video is 10 times more detailed and better researched than what I was going to do for All Moons. So I've decided to give up on that and stick with Darker Side. I highly recommend checking out the better Coinless video if you're interested in the topic. However, I think my Coinless up to Darker Side holds up quite well, and is interesting to see what I did on my own with little effort. Over the past few years, the Coinless challenge in Mario games has become one of, if not the, most iconic and largest trend in Mario content creation history, leading to the rise of some of the largest Mario creators. Super Mario Odyssey is one of the most popular and beloved Mario games, being the most recent 3D Mario, apart from Bowser's Fury, which I don't consider a game. I figured I'd try and combine the trend of Coinless Mario and my love for Mario Odyssey. However, Coinless Mario Odyssey has been done many a times from some household Mario names, so I want to take this idea to the next level where I try and find out how far you can get coinless. I've noticed that post-game Coinless Mario has rarely been done, with people primarily focusing on just beating the game. Mario Odyssey is a large game, with the 100% speedrun taking over 8 hours and having 880 unique moons. I'll be releasing 4 videos about the subject, with this video exclusively being about beating the game coinless and my experience and journey to beating Mario Odyssey without coins. The next videos will be about post-game coinless. To beat the game, you need to collect a total of 124 moons and traverse through 15 kingdoms, each with their own struggle. Cap Kingdom. This kingdom is the entry to the game and is therefore really short and simple, with not much challenges, including in this coinless. The only thing I did in this kingdom which made it unique was doing Frogless Water Room instead of capturing the frog, as it allowed me to have better movement. The boss fight against Topper was extremely awkward and annoying, however it's simple if you don't mind being slow. Anyway, with all that, Cap Kingdom was extremely easy coinless, leading to a nice start to the challenge. Cascade Kingdom. This kingdom is the second kingdom in the game, and the first kingdom where you need to collect moons to fix the Odyssey. Already in this challenge there's a slightly interesting change from normal gameplay present in Cascade. Normally, after getting the first moon, you need to break open the wall and showcase the 2D section, where you traverse through and reach the top of the mountain, in which you get to fight Madame Broodal. However, it's impossible to get past the 2D section without collecting a coin, meaning you're stuck. But, due to my days of speedrunning nipple percent, I knew about a jump from near the 2D section up to the dinosaur bones, allowing you to skip the 2D section, allowing us to get past the first struggle. The Madame Broodal fight was simple, as you could just keep your distance from her and the coins don't get in the way. Sand Kingdom. This kingdom is the first large kingdom needing 16 moons to progress. However, there's a lot of moons in this kingdom easily grabbable, so I just did the any percent route, avoiding the coins which might come up. The only annoying part of this kingdom was that there's a lot of enemies, including micro Goombas or bullet bills, which can be awkward to avoid. Also, there's some places in which I'd normally spin pound roll from, such as getting the crate moon. But then there's a ground poundable coin thing right there, so you end up getting that and needing to reset to an old save. Lake Kingdom. A very nice and calm kingdom, introducing swimming and Cheep Cheeps. The speedrun route I used for Lake involves beating Rango, meaning it was a stupid kingdom. Rango is kinda hard to do if you don't use speedrun strats, which are impossible to do without picking up coins mid-fight, which led to me kinda struggling, but it was still easy outside of the awkward and annoyingness. Besides Rango, nothing in the kingdom was hard. Wooded. Wooded. Easily one of my least favourite kingdoms in this run. This is for a lot of reasons. In the speedrun you're meant to buy a moon, which obviously I can't do with my lack of funds. Let me take it moon by moon, as most moons in this kingdom have some form of annoyingness to them. The first moon is a rabbit moon, where you kill a rabbit and take its prized possession. This would be easy if it wasn't for shrubs which give you stupid coins randomly. Next moon. A rock moon. Normally you throw another rock at it to break it open in an easy and quick way. However, doing that gives a coin. So you have to spend a long time breaking it open with Cappy. Next moon. Shop moon. Oh wait, I can't get that, so I need to finally differ from the any % route and get a different moon later. My actual next moon was the tree moon, which wasn't horrible, but I think some of the shrubs have coins in, so I had to avoid them. Next moon. Nut moon. I can't do nut clips, so this moon just laughs at me as I'm a fraud and a failure. Next moon. Another nut moon. Easy, no problems here, but I don't know why, but I just kind of failed at the ramp jump for a long time. Another nut moon with no struggle. Another moon from a nut in a maze, which was also easy. Another nut moon at the end of the road, which was easy. Until writing the script, I didn't realise how many nuts there are in Wooded Kingdom. Like, actually, why are there so many? Story moon was fine, you just need to wait for the coins to disappear. Another nut moon. Oh, come on! Why? Luckily it was easy, you just needed to do flower road skip. Nut moon, but inside the tower was fine. Other tower moon was also fine. Normally, on any %, I'd do the other nut moon in flooded pipes. However, due to my lack of shop moon, I decided to do nut moon and Spewart. Nut moon was obviously fine, but I'm so tired of nutting. Spewart was a really awkward boss in Wooded, as he spews poison, but you can't hit him because of coins. Hard is the wrong word. Stupid, maybe dumb, are better suited because it was easy. God, Wooded is such a stupid kingdom. I hope it doesn't get harder than that for the run. Cloud Kingdom. This kingdom is obviously very easy. Apart from the 2D Luigi, I don't think there's a single coin you can get here pre-game, meaning this kingdom faced no challenge to the run. Lost Kingdom. One of the most fun kingdoms for the speedrun, but within this challenge there's a lot of coins. Luckily, they're all pretty easily avoidable, and just doing klepto skip means you can beat this kingdom really easily. There's a few awkward coin placements, such as doing klepto skip or collecting the breakable box moon, but apart from that, there's nothing too hard or interesting about Lost. Night Metro. Remember when I hoped the game wouldn't be any worse than Wooded? It's not, but it's close. Night Metro mostly consists of 3 sections: pre-Town Hall, Town Hall, and Mecha Wiggle. The pre-Town Hall section is easy. You traverse past some buildings, there's a few Goombas, but they're easily avoidable. The Town Hall section. This is a really bad part of the game. I could lie and say this section is impossibly hard, but I was playing using detached Joy-Cons instead of my normal Joy-Con grip, so my movement was horrible, which was the cause of most of my pain in this section. However, with me saying that, it's not to imply that Town Hall is easy, as it's still precise platforming and avoiding enemies, posters, and coin. Mecha Wiggler. This boss sucks, not only in speedruns, but also in this Coinless challenge. This is one of the first sections in the game which showcases one of the most annoying features in this game for this challenge, being that whenever an enemy dies, you get a coin. Everyone knew that, so you have to play pacifist, but when another enemy kills an enemy, such as the Mecha Wiggler killing the Sherm, it still gives you a coin. This is annoying, but it's easily fixable by capturing the Sherm and letting it despawn. But the second phase, it just randomly gives you coins. I've watched the videos so many times, and I have no clue why or how I get coins. It was so annoying. Luckily, after 15 minutes, I managed to beat it coinless, finally allowing me to finish Night Metro. Day Metro. After the mess of Mecha Wiggler, I was glad to learn that Day Metro has a few problems, but nothing major. The trash bags give coins if ground pounded. Simple idea, just don't ground pound the trash bags. The tunnel towards the moon is blocked by a long line of coins which you can't get past. Simple. You can't roll on the bush section as you might get coins. I feel like I skipped over something. Maybe in another video I'll talk about the tunnel, as I don't think it seems relevant here. My substitute instead of the tunnel moon was another one of the story moons, as it was easily available and was the first thing I thought of. Snow Kingdom. Snow Kingdom has quite a few coins, but they're all extremely easily avoidable, as long as you aren't bad. For once in this scenario, I'm not bad, as I managed to get through it all quite easily. The chest moon normally involves you bouncing off an umbrella, but it's blocked by coins, so I simply took a different route. The shop moon sucks, but as a substitute, I combined the beginner any percent route and the snowdrum any percent route, allowing me to get the required moons necessary. Seaside. During the 1.0 speedrunning days, 2D Luigi things didn't exist, meaning getting coins was more difficult. So if people didn't have enough coins to get the snow shop moon, you'd do Seaside first. I wasn't speedrunning back then, so I didn't realise how many coins there actually were. This kingdom was deceptively hard. The first 2 moons were fine as there's no coins. The next moon has invisible coins on the ground and 2 coins right below the moon, which are either difficult or impossible to avoid. I'll find out another time. Chest moon is surrounded by enemies which give coins if they die, but are all easily avoidable. The tunnel moon has so many coins so you have to skip it, but I'll probably come back to it later. The ground pound moon is normally gotten through attacking as a cheap, but it's too awkward to avoid the seaweeds, so you just have to ground pound it. The other ground pound moon you're meant to get surrounded by seaweed things, making it impossible to get as a cheap normally. The 2 fish clip moons are easy, which was nice. However, compared to the 10 moons I'd have in a normal any percent run, I now only have 7 moons, so I need to get my other 3 moons differently. I decided to get the music note moon at the beginning and 2 of the easiest story moons. Seaside, for being one of my favourite kingdoms in the speedrun, it was definitely interesting for Coinless. Luncheon. Considering this is a hard kingdom in the speedrun, it was extremely trivial. In fact, so was Ruined. I don't think there's anything I need to talk about, so I'm just going to play both kingdoms at 10 times speed because there's nothing too interesting. Bowser's Kingdom. If you're not sitting down, I suggest you sit down. This kingdom is the worst kingdom in the game. The developers who designed it and released it without thinking about the concept of a Coinless challenge need to be fired. Anyway, the first part up to the first story moon was fine, nothing too interesting. Moon Shard section. There's so much in this section which gives you reason to hate Nintendo is quite insane. If a Pokio dies to a bomb, you get a coin, so you need to just not ang any Pokios. Easy enough. Another Moon Shard in between 2 coins. Easy enough, just get it as Mario, as Cappy likes to home to the coin. The final Moon Shard, you need to spend a minute poking at a box because why not? When I was playing this, it felt like it was so hard and took a long time, but writing the script, it seems so much easier than I thought. Must be nice. The Topper and Harriet fights were similar to the other Broodal fights throughout the game, more annoying Coinless, but harmless and easy. The hardest part of the game in speedrunning and in Coinless, may I present to you, Mecha Broodal. As I mentioned earlier, I'm playing badly due to my detached Joy-Cons and no other reasons. This is likely the cause of my problems with Mecha Broodal. However, that doesn't change the fact that it's a difficult fight to do Coinless. Before even getting into Coinless, to be able to beat this, you need to know how to do Birdless Mecha Broodal, and you need to know how to do it really fast. You also need to know how to do Spew at last, which is a really hard and awkward lineup, allowing you to beat the final Broodal before more Pokios spawn. First and most important part of this fight is you need to get up to Rango before the mech can spawn a Pokio, as if it spawns, then it instantly kills it, giving you a coin. Killing Topper is the same as in the speedrun. You need to kill Spew at last instead of Harriet, meaning you need to know the proper lineup and action to do Final Strike. After all of that, you've done it. You've gotten past the final hurdle for the Coinless challenge in Super Mario Odyssey. Moon Kingdom consists of nothing too interesting. The Bowser fight is fine as long as you avoid the hearts, and after a final check at the stats in Mushroom Kingdom, I have officially beaten Super Mario Odyssey without touching a single coin. This title is slightly clickbait. I believe that Coinless Darkside is completely impossible without a single bit of hope. However, I've spent a few hours theory crafting ways of how to make it possible. Before I get into talking about Darkside, let me explain my journey of making it to Darkside Coinless. About a week ago, I did a Coinless challenge of Super Mario Odyssey, where I wanted to find out if it's possible to beat the main game Coinless, going from Cap Kingdom to eventually beating Bowser in Moon Kingdom. If you don't want spoilers for the results of that, you can find the video in the description. The answer was that it is possible to beat it Coinless. Darkside requires getting 250 moons, then beating a boss rush against each of the Broodals and a new Mecha Broodal fight, all while in moon gravity. For this video, I'll be following the beginner Darkside speedrun route, as it's how I normally beat Darkside, and I think it is more interesting than me just going for all the easy coinless moons. Because this route involves collecting some extra moons before post-game, I decided I'd do it in order and start off by collecting the moons pre-post-game in the route. The first kingdom with extra moons is Sun Kingdom. It's also the first kingdom where a new moon is impossible. The employees only moon involves going through a small tunnel and collecting coins. Pretty obvious block, so I'm already one moon behind for the route in the first 2 moons. Next kingdom with new moons was Wooded, which is also problematic. The first new moon needed me to use a small glitch on the wall to be able to jump up to the moon. And now, another impossible moon is Flooded Pipe's secret moon. This is blocked by 3 coins which are used to represent there's a secret up there, meaning this is the next moon, which is impossible. It's really not going too well. Lost Kingdom. In the route, you need to get to the top of the mountain, which you'd normally ground pound a button and wall jump, but like most things in this game, coins get in the way. So you need to HCT wall jump up, allowing you to get more height and lose less distance between bounces. Quite an annoying section, but obviously not impossible. For the rest of the pre-post game, there was a few annoying moons, such as in Bowser's needing to poke at a box for a minute sucked, but nothing was impossible or too hard. Similarly, in the post game, there's not a single interesting or even slightly hard moon to get until Cascade, with this being the moon in the wall. Normally, you're meant to break the rock wall using a chain chomp, however doing that gives you a coin. Luckily, I knew of a bug allowing you to clip through the wall just by using a spin throw. However, this is only doable on 1.0, and my SMO cartridge can only go back to 1.2, so I had to find a new idea. Right now, I'm not doing this. I'll eventually get to it, however there is a way to get into the wall, which is used in the 1.3 2-player min-cap speedrun, also known as 4-cap. There's a bug to get out of bounds in Cascade, which is super easy, and then using some form of levitation with a rock, it allows you to get past the rock wall and collect the moon. I don't really get how it works, but some people do. I can't lie and say Darkside Coinless has been too exciting so far, with nothing being much of a struggle and all the moons I've had to avoid have been either obviously impossible or I could potentially see a way to get it, but I don't want to do that right now. Luckily, Lost is a somewhat interesting kingdom for post-game. This kingdom has a lot of coins and also a lot of moons. The first interesting moon for Lost is probably the most interesting moon in the run, a notes moon where you have to collect all the notes using the wiggler things. To start, you need to avoid the coins leading up to the notes, which was easy. Then you have to avoid collecting the moon, which I already collected. Then you have to avoid the coins on the platform in the middle, all while on a somewhat tight timer. I only barely managed to get it first try. It's not a very hard moon. This run was so boring. Blow up block moon is impossible as it always gives a coin. I don't see a way in which it's possible. This run sucks. I really hope Darker Side moon collecting is more interesting. That's the end of Lost Kingdom, the most interesting kingdom for Darkside. Mushroom. This kingdom mostly consists of getting the seed moons we planted after beating the game and collecting Toadette moons. So I had no problems here and got everything needed. Now time to put all the moons into the Odyssey and go to Darkside! Oh wait, because of all the moons I missed throughout the game, I'm 13 moons off. To start with, I got the tree moon, which I don't know why it isn't in the route as it's so easy and fast. Then I decided I might as well get World Peace in a kingdom to help make Darker Side faster, but then I tried doing IP skip and realised how annoying and bad that's gonna be. And just doing IP clip doesn't work, as the 2D section is impossible. So next, I got some of the easy moons in Metro, such as Jump Rope, Bullet Bill Room, and the rest of the story moons before the festival. But I didn't do the festival because I was scared of how annoying it's gonna be. Then, as I gave up on Metro, I went to Snow before realising this sucks, so I gave up and did some easy seaside moons. After 126 new moons, and none of them were hard, I made it to Darkside. During the run, I thought a lot about Darkside. I knew the Broodal fights would be easy, but I was thinking the Mecha Broodal fight would be very difficult, maybe even impossible. I think I underestimated how difficult or impossible it would be. The main problem in this fight is the Hammer Bros. Whenever Mecha Broodal loses a Broodal, it kills all the enemies on the screen, which instead of giving a coin to Mecha Broodal, it gives all the coins to the player. Like, it's so annoying. During the Mecha Broodal fight in Bowser's, the only way to avoid getting coins from the Pokeos is to kill Rango before it has time to spawn a Pokeo. However, for Darkseid, the Hammer Bros are already there, meaning it's impossible. I spent a bit of time on stream theory crafting. My idea for beating this Coinless is to let all the Hammer Bros despawn at the same time, allowing you to damage the Broodal without getting a coin. However, there's so many problems, such as the bombs the Mecha shoots, killing the Hammer Bros. This is all I have so far. I want to see how possible this is, whether I can beat Darkseid Coinless, but each attempt can fail in a matter of seconds, and every time I want to retry it, it takes 10 minutes of killing all the previous Broodals before I can even try. So I made an impulse purchase. I bought a modded Switch, allowing me to get practice mod so I can try to beat this. I will be streaming every attempt live on this channel and on my Twitch, linked in the description. If you're interested in watching my attempts, you should drop by, and if you think you can do it yourself, I'd love to see other people's ideas of attempts, which you can send to me on Twitter, also linked in the description. This is all I have for this video. I apologise it's not too interesting, as the moon process was boring and I will have to make the Mecha Broodal fight its own separate video. I hope to see you in the streams or the video. But that's all from me. I hope you have a good day and keep avoiding coins. Darkseid is the final kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey, with it requiring 500 moons to reach. It entirely consists of one extremely difficult level, going over every skill you might have learnt throughout the rest of the game. Previously, I did any % Coinless, starting from Cap to eventually beating Bowser in Moon. Then I did Darkseid, where I continued from my any % run, going from Mushroom to Darkseid, in which I failed to beat Darkseid, meaning that I consider it impossible. In this video, I'll be talking about my journey from Darkseid to Darkseid, and collecting the 249 moons I need to reach it, all while not touching any coins. This video will be separated into 3 different parts. The first part is getting world peace in every kingdom I need. The next part will be getting as many moons in each kingdom as possible until I reach 500. Then the next and final part will be about Darkseid. This intro has been long enough. Sit back and enjoy my journey into beating Darkseid Coinless. I already had world peace in Cap, Cascade, Lake, Cloud, Lost, Ruined, Bowser's and Moon from either any % or Darkseid, meaning I only had to get peace in Sand, Wooded, Metro, Snow, Seaside, and Luncheon. Before even talking about the kingdoms, I'm going to tell you 3 of them are impossible and 1 of them is dumb. Sand Kingdom, with this being the earliest kingdom I needed peace in, I started here. For this kingdom, normally you'd collect a moon on top of a tower, which surprisingly was impossible. At least from what I tried, so that's that out the way, done with Sand. Just kidding, of course. There's a bug which allows you to get on top of the inverted pyramid without getting the previous moons. That's IP clip! You clip in the front door, then boom! Easy Sand, right? Nope, the 2D section is impossible to do coinless. That's my final idea. Just kidding. If there's a bug to get inside the IP, of course there's an out of bounds bug which lets you climb the pyramid without ever entering it. Unfortunately, I suffer from being horrible at the game. Despite my biggest video being doing IP skip, I spent over 1 hour throughout this challenge attempting IP skip, and I couldn't get it even once. So sadly, I have to skip World Peace and Sand. This entire section was so pointless. Wooded suffers from the same struggles which I face in any %, being shrubs and just in general a lot of coins. However, getting peace was extremely easy. Metro, I pretty much did most of Metro Peace for Darkseid, and then came to the conclusion that it's impossible because, like most 2D sections, coins get in the way. Snow Kingdom. There is a roll cancel clip to get to the race, but I'm not great at it, and it's actually quite awkward to beat the race, so I had to do it normally, getting the story moon in all 4 rooms. After that, I went down to the racing area, where coins block the way and you're meant to go down as the bouncy guy, However, doing that ruins your movement, so I thought I'd just drop him down the slope and go down normally. This worked and made Snow Peace really easy. Seaside Peace. This kingdom is possible, but not plausible. In the same way Darkside might be possible, but I really couldn't care about that. Getting all the moons to start the fight with the Tentacle Boy was fine, but the problem is after that. Like a lot of the problems I had with bosses in this challenge, whenever another enemy kills an enemy, it gives the player a coin. So when the Tentacle Boy spins, it kills the Gushins, giving Mario a coin. I know there's ways to manipulate the boss which is used in runs, and with that I think it's technically possible, but I gave up. I might attempt this boss fight again if I ever do all moons coinless. However, for now, I'm giving up. Luncheon. I got most of the story moons done at any percent getting the pop moons, so I thought it'd be easy, just kill a big bird. I was wrong. I really don't think this is possible, but I guess maybe? Oh shit, those things are gonna have coins in, aren't they? No, I'm just gonna avoid. The boss spawns cacti which break the rocks, and they give the player coins, meaning I don't think I can do it. Well, that's all I have for World Peace. I end this section after almost an hour with 266 total moons and 234 remaining. I start my moon collecting in a kingdom which I've already done in Darkside. Cap Kingdom. I started off with 13 moons and I got 13 more. This kingdom was quite easy. A few difficult moons such as the rolling sub-area, and that's pretty much it. Everything else was quite easy. There's a few impossible moons such as the frog moon at the beginning. Come on, let me look up. Yeah, you're not even close. Yeah. Apart from that, the moons I didn't get were the shop moon and moons I don't know where they are. Then I moved on to Cascade, where I started with 21 moons, as I did this kingdom in Darkside. Then I ended on 30. This kingdom actually has quite a few impossible moons, however they were quite obviously impossible, and unless you can do 2-player attack, I don't think I'll be doing them. As long as that doesn't give coin. Why?! Next, I do Lake Kingdom, which was another kingdom I did in Darkside. I started with 17 moons, and I end with 31. Lake Kingdom is my first interesting kingdom. This kingdom has a lot of moons. A lot of moons in this kingdom are difficult, such as the red block room, a lot of tight movement on a horrible movement from the flowers. Really sucks, making it difficult to avoid coins. Luckily, I get to avoid this. Other moons such as Zipper sub-area thing. You have to leap of faith your way to the secret moon, otherwise you can't get past the first zipper. However, for the most part, this kingdom was really not that bad, missing only 11 out of 42 moons, most of which I just forgot about getting. Skipping Wooded Kingdom as I was scared of it, I went to Cloud Kingdom. I started off with 0 moons and ended with 7, only missing 2 moons. This kingdom has literally nothing to talk about, as coins were only an issue in the sub-area, which is straight up impossible. Unsurprisingly, it's the 2D one, as coins just block the way very clearly, so I had to skip it. Okay. Oh, that's just not possible, okay. Next, after finishing Cloud, I went to Lost Kingdom, which I started with 23 moons and ended with 31. I did most of this kingdom in Darkside. This is the first kingdom where I actually struggled with KFR. In my Darkside video, I talked about the journey to the top of the mountain and how the button spawns an unavoidable line of coins. So like I did in Darkside, I had to make it to the top of the mountain, but in a race. Because of this, I need to be quite exact and not make many mistakes. In the first race, I barely managed to make it, being able to see one of the races on the screen while wall jumping. Second race was somehow even easier, and I made it up fine. Still for KFR, very interesting. Next kingdom, Bowser's Kingdom. I started this kingdom on 28 moons and finished with 54. Despite doing this kingdom in Darkside, I still had so many moons available. This kingdom took almost an hour to do. In the any percent coins video, I talked about how I hated breaking the box with a Pokio for over a minute to get a moon shard. For a moon shard, you need to spend a minute poking at a box because why not? When I was playing this, it felt like it was so hard and took a long time. But writing the script, it seems so much easier than I thought. Must be nice. In Darkside, I talked about hating breaking the box with a Pokio for over a minute. to get the whole moon. For the pre-post game, there was a few annoying moons, such as in Bowser's needing to poke at a box for a minute sucked, but nothing was impossible or too hard. Stay in your seat. As for Darkseid, I had to break 2 boxes, taking over 2 minutes combined as a Pokio. Seriously, why is this even a feature? Just make it impossible so I don't have to do this. Anyway, pretty much all 26 moons of them were simple. Apart from that, there was no major problems here. After Bowser's, I went to Ruined. At this point, I was streaming for 4 hours straight, playing Odyssey, and I was getting quite hungry and got a headache. Anyway, I start Ruined at 2 moons and I was 6. This kingdom has 2 sub-areas which are quite clearly impossible. There's really not much to talk about. Oh, son of a bitch! Anyway, on to Mushroom. Mushroom is the final kingdom I have, which I have peace in, apart from Wooded and Snow. However, I was still very scared of Wooded. Also, there's Moon, but that is Moon Gravity, so I was hoping to avoid it. The majority of Mushroom Kingdom is Toadette, so I start with 20 and then with 39. Majority of my moons in this kingdom came from doing each of the upgraded bosses, apart from Cockatiel, which is still impossible. Ironically, the Seaside boss is easier and actually possible in Mushroom, unlike in Seaside. Really makes you think, huh? Now, onto Snow Kingdom. I started this kingdom on 14 moons and ended on 45! This is the first real kingdom I've done, where I just get to start from beating World Peace without already doing a bunch in Darkseid. This kingdom took quite a long time, with there being a lot of bound bowl races, and also I just kinda suck at finding moons. It's been 4 years or so since I've done an all moons run, and I'm forgetting where so many are. In general, this kingdom was quite simple. A few difficult areas, but really nothing too notable. Oh shit. It's quite disappointing because I love this kingdom. I'm through most of the easy kingdoms already, with only the non-peace kingdoms or just annoying/hard kingdoms like Wooded and Moon. So far in this challenge, I've gotten 152 moons. I'm now at 403 total moons. I made the assumption I'd be able to get 30 moons or so from Toadette, which I'd do at the end, to get to 500. So my goals were to get at least 470 moons from all the other kingdoms, including the non-peace kingdoms, specifically Metro and Luncheon. Anyway, diversion aside, I go to Seaside. This kingdom is obviously pre-peace, so there's not too many options I have. To start with, I get a moon, which I called impossible in the N% video, and I get it first try with ease. It's just, I don't know, I guess I'll give it one more chance. And now well, first try. Now I decided I'd do some more moons with Fish Clip. When I first watched Darkseid runs, I always found it super cool the amount of stuff you can do with Fish Clip, such as the ability to get the Tunnel Moon, which I also called impossible in the Coinless video, and make it to the Moon Shards area, where you're not meant to have Cappy, where you not only have Cappy, but also have a Cheep Cheep. It's a really cool bug. It's probably my favourite glitch in the N% run. After Seaside, I decided to go to Metro, as it's still a very big kingdom, even without World Peace moons. To start with, I do the RC Race moon, as it's cool, but sadly you can only get 1 moon pre-peace, which is disappointing. Now onto the sub-area you get to by moving the sewer plate thing. This sub-area is deceptively interesting. The gimmick is that you throw Cappy at the walls, making them move, allowing you to get the moon shards. However, there's piranha plants in them which shoot fire, and as I've stated multiple times, whenever an enemy kills another enemy, instead of the plant getting the coins, Mario gets the coins. So you have to be safe doing this, making sure at no point can a piranha plant see another piranha plant. Apart from that, as long as you don't kick a can, you're fine. After this, I did the pole swing sub-area. Deceptively hard and intimidating with all the coins in between the jumps, but it was actually quite easy. The main moon is easily obtainable from jumping across buildings, then the secret moon just requires not swinging as much. Okay, now I could... What the fuck? You know what? Captain Toad, like always, is super easy, no chance of getting coins. Normally in Metro, you'd need to wear a builder's outfit to get into a sub-area. However, due to a barrel, you're able to clip into a building and then also the sub-area without spending a coin on an outfit. Very cool. That's Metro. On to Wooded. Wooded was so intimidating, with it being the hardest kingdom apart from Bowser's in any percent. But as long as you avoid going into deep woods, it's actually really easy. I got 34 moons in this kingdom, and pretty much not a single one of them was too interesting. The Firebro moon I spent a while on trying to get him to unintentionally die by his own hands. But thinking about it, it would probably still give me the coin, so it's kinda pointless. I kinda enjoyed Wooded here. There was nothing too interesting, it was just kinda a vibe. I now have 453 moons after beating Wooded. This is exciting, it's almost over. Right now, I was just thinking not if it was possible, but if I'd be able to get 500 moons coinless without needing to suffer with IP skip. On to Moon Kingdom. This kingdom was actually quite hard. There was a few 2D sections which made it impossible, and nope, that's pretty much it actually. The 2D sections will always suck for coinless as it ruins movement, making it hard to avoid coins, so I just kinda skipped them. And pretty much every other moon here in Moon was fine. I got 15 and this kingdom was quite easy. There was a lot which I just didn't do because they were in Moon Cave and I didn't want to go in there. But apart from that, that was it. On to 468 moons. It's a bit less than I was hoping for before I talked to Toadette, but maybe I get lucky. I mean, there are 60 Toadette moons. Surely I can get a bit over half. I actually got 8. It's a bit less. I am now 24 moons away, and I already used all the Toadette moons I had, so I need to get these naturally. Time to go back on the annoying moons I skipped, and also Luncheon. Luncheon's a fun kingdom. It's impossible to get peace on, but there's almost as many moons here as there is in Metro, so surely I'll get at least 15 or so. The only hard moon in this kingdom was in the lava bubble sub-area. Getting the secret moon, you needed to kill the tomato thing, but doing that gives a coin. So you have to somehow get to the lava on the other side without killing a tomato. After one attempt, I found an easy way and that was it. Luncheon was so easy and I just get another 16 free moons, leaving me with 8 away. But after leaving Mushroom, I also put 2 seeds in, so I'm actually only 6 away. Now I'm at a thing I dreaded, going on to Pre-Peace Sand Kingdom. There's a few moons which I thought would be easy, like the Sphinx moons or random sub-area, which actually were easy. I looked on the moon list and saw I also had another Toadette moon available, so now with the 4 moons from Sand Kingdom, the 2 seed moons in Mushroom, and 1 final Toadette moon, I have done it! I got 500 moons and made it to Darker Side coinless. Now is where the bad news starts. Darker Side isn't possible. At least I don't think so. I love Yoshi in this game. It's a fun capture, and it's Yoshi. Everyone loves Yoshi. But for Darker Side, you're forced into going up a conveyor belt as Yoshi, where coins block your path. And this single section, which is laughably easy in the normal gameplay, is the reason why it's impossible to beat Darker Side coinless. During my run, I was thinking that frog skip would be possible, letting you beat the game coinless. But even doing that gives you coins, as jumping on a frog's head gives you a coin, even though you don't kill it. I was really hoping Darker Side would be possible. I was so disappointed when I found out Dark Side was impossible, and now I'm even more disappointed finding out that Darker Side is impossible. But I didn't give up. I ended stream disappointed and sad. I fully wrote the script and started editing, but something didn't feel right. I had a feeling, a small feeling, that Darker Side was possible, but I wasn't sure, so I booted up my Switch to try and beat it. I spent 15 minutes, a pretty short amount of time, and then I found it. What the fuck? Wait. Okay, this isn't like... I collected moons beforehand, This is... Wait, what? I found a way up, coinless. Obviously, I didn't do this on my coinless profile, but I proved it all. All I needed to do was boot up my main Switch, load the coinless profile, and do Darker Side without touching a coin. done as possible darker side of the Super Mario Odyssey Coinless. Also, after I was completely done editing, I found out it's possible to do it another way using CRCs, which is used in Mincap's Darker Side. But I don't really care, this is so much cooler. This entire challenge was streamed live on Twitch and on YouTube. It has taken me over 12 hours of gameplay so far to get 500 moons coinless, all of which was streamed live. If you want to see me live, I'll be multi-streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. I primarily do speedrunning content, however, I also just do a lot of stuff, like Coinless on SMO. If you like Mario Odyssey, you'd love my streams. This is pretty much all from me. I might try and see how many moons you can get coinless eventually, but I think that would be very difficult, so I'm not sure if I'll end up doing it. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to make this YouTube thing viable. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day, morning, or night.